Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. This is a podcast about control. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. It is Janet Demita Joe Jackson's birthday today. She is how many years old? I was too lazy to do the math.
57.
57.
39.
We did the Dream Seat in the self-titled last month, but this is like where it really begins. This is where it really begins for me as a Janet fan. I'm not gonna lie, I started watching the videos a half hour ago and I just started crying. Like, Janet touches a part of my soul. Everybody was here last month, so we don't need to reintroduce everybody. But Sharon has not been part of the Janet podcast. So Sharon, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about your relationship with Janet Jackson?
Well, it's a very deep, intimate relationship with Janet, but I digress. So I'm Sharon from Seattle. You may recognize me from the Madonna podcast. I'm here to bring the goth perspective on things, which of course, when you think Janet, obviously you think of goths. So clearly I needed to be here. I am so grateful to be here. I appreciate the being invited because I am acutely aware that it is a privilege for me to be here. One of the things that I feel very strongly about is that Janet has really been through a lot, and particularly with all of the things that she went through, a lot of people, I would say, really failed her, and I would say a lot of people who look like me, frankly, failed her, and I think it was the Black community, and the gay community that really were there for her, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to be here and to really celebrate this record because this record had an incredibly profound impact on me. And I think it actually had I think one of the things that is so amazing about this record, and I don't mean to go into it before we're done, right before we even started, but I think one of the great, amazing things about this record is that it had such an impact across so many types of people and walks of lives. And I think before we started, I was saying you don't often get to talk about a masterpiece. And so one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be here is that this white goth girl from Southern California can love and appreciate this record the same as other people. And so I'm just so blessed and thankful to be here, and I can't wait to get started.
Oh, Sharon, I'm so glad you're with us. I just love you all. I know I'm so emotional. Life is so fucking hard lately. And what makes it not hard is fucking good music and good friends. So here we are.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is tell my story of coming into Control, and then everyone will go around and kind of talk about how Control came into our lives. I told the story on the last podcast, but I'm going to tell it again because I feel like some people might skip the Dream Street run. So it was 1986. Madonna was our girl. Madonna, we all love Madonna. We were there for Like a Virgin. She had come out with True Blue in 1986. So that's when she had the shorter hair. I did love the True Blue era. Loved it. But the way Madonna looked and, her more slender self, I couldn't relate to it as much as I could the Virgin years. I loved True Blue. I loved everything all the way through freaking Mad Max. But with True Blue, I just wasn't as invested as I was in the first two Madonna albums. And then fucking the Janet Jackson thing. I would always hear singles when I was in the backseat of my parents' van. And What Have You Done For Me Lately?
Mm-hmm.
Nasty came on the radio. And I was a huge Prince fan, so I'm like, what the fuck is this? It had that, it didn't sound like Madonna, but it had a little bit of that Minneapolis sound, which we'll talk about. And those singles, I would have been 11 years old when they came out. And they just touched, they piqued my interest because this was something different, and we'll go into this. Then When I Think of You was the third single, and I was like, okay, all right. I think this might have been around the time we got MTV in our house, finally, because we were more poor than everybody else. So we didn't get it as soon as everyone else. But then when the fourth single came out is what I remember. When Control came out, all bets were off. Because it's like, this was my new fucking, oh, I'm getting like emotional. This is my new fucking hero. Like, so, you know, I watched the video over and over. I put on my VHS. I learned every little dance move. And I couldn't wait to go to the fucking middle school dance because I was going to fucking impress. I could not wait to impress all my classmates because I knew all the Janet Jackson dance moves. And I thought that was going to be the coolest kid. Like, I was ready, like, because all the athletes, like, they can show what they got at the sports games and all, like, the actors. But I was, like, ready to show my school, like, this is what I got. I can dance like Janet Jackson. I learned these fucking dance moves. So, sure enough, the middle school dance came. I was really hoping they played nasty, and they fucking did. And I danced to every fucking dance move. Every fucking person gathered around a circle and watched me. And I went home just feeling like on top of the world. This is a Friday night. And then Monday I went to school, and I heard the word faggot for the first time.
No! Are you kidding me?
For the next 6 years of my life, my life changed forever that day, and I was punched and kicked for the next 6 years. And all started with fucking... And I didn't know, like, and you can never go back to that kid you were before that dance. You know what I mean? So I, like, when I was walking around the hallways, like, look, here we go. I could see every little fucking person whispering about me. And I just didn't know. I didn't know. So I never got to just be a normal kid again after that day. And, you know, Janet Jackson, like, she was fucking there for us, though. Like, after Control, Rhythm Nation came. And then Janet. So, like, you know what? If I could do it all over again, I would still go out there and dance because I got to be my true, authentic self. And if they didn't appreciate it, you know, if someone from high school contacted me, they said, "Would you like to come to a reunion?" I said, "If you guys want some Jeremy Gloff, you can go on iTunes and get me." So that was my response. So sorry to get a little emotional, but like that, you know, I really thought that everyone was going to appreciate me, and they ended up all hating me instead. And that's the reality of. That's why it's so hard in 2023 when all these anti-gay bills and anti-trans bills are getting passed. Because I had nothing to protect me legally as a 11-year-old. So these laws need to be in place because there's kids out there that are gay, that are 11 years old, and they know it just like I knew it deep inside. Like, I didn't really know it till I was 18, but had the world been more open and more accepting of people, I wouldn't have had to live that shit. So right now, a gay child is being born, and I want them to be safe in this fucking world. They need to be safe and they need to be protected. I feel like I just went on a long soapbox. I'm going to shut the fuck up. Someone else tell me your Control story. That's my story. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it and turn off my camera and cry a little bit. All right. Who would like to jump in next?
Am I here?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
there you go.
Is my camera off or on?
Your camera's off, but your microphone is on, so we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, my story with Control was, and I mentioned in the last podcast, was that when I first, we all seen Janet on TV and Fame and Different Strokes, but it wasn't until the first single, "What Have You Done For Me Lately," came out at the very beginning of 1986, and that's when I forgot about everybody else. I forgot who Madonna was. I forgot about Michael Jackson, about Prince. I was like, who? Like, it all became all about Janet, and became like obsessed. And she was just like something fresh, something new. Her sound was different. Even though she's Minneapolis, her sound just had like a different vibe to it than most Minneapolis music. And her look and I don't know, her outfits, her eyeliner, the way she moved, like it was just a whole new vibe. Like I had never seen something like that before, and it blew me away. And I didn't have time to, but actually was gonna send you the clip of me as a kid. You guys have all seen it, of me lip syncing to "What Have You Done For Me Lately." And I actually was gonna send it to you so you can put it in the podcast. So I probably still should. You can just insert it there somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, email it.
Yeah, and I just had Janet fever.
Email it over. I'll insert it in.
Okay. So yeah, and you can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. It just changed me, like the way I saw it. And then once I got the Control album, once that dropped and I got my hands on it, it was just like every song was just as good as the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it was just like it's such a good album from beginning to end to me. There's no bad songs. There's only one song that does remind me of, I mean, we'll get into it, but as there's only one song that reminds me, has a bit of that flavor from the first couple albums, and that's He Doesn't Even Know That I'm Alive.
That's right.
So besides that, I still like it though. It's a good song, all of them. And it's a slamming album from beginning to end, like all of it. And I never, that was probably the first time I loved an album so much, but it just meant so much to me. And the dance moves, like I said, and everybody had Janet fever, like where I was at, and it was just different. And I'm glad to have been alive to experience that.
Amen to all that. All right. Who wants to go next and share their story? I feel like everyone's story is going to be a beautiful one with Control, because like Sharon said, it's a masterpiece.
I'll go. I hadn't really experienced a Janet album till this album. Like I knew she had songs out and stuff like that, but to me, she would always be Charlene from Different Strokes. So, and of course, seeing her on Fame. But after that, I was like, whatever. But this album, oh my God. Like I already had Madonna and I had Whitney Houston. I had these two ladies there. And Janet was like, I'm here too, y'all. And this album just knocks. It is so good. The singles are always on point. Like I was listening to it again and I was like, oh my God, this just like, I'm like, damn, I had it on a loop all day today and it just did not get tiring. And that is, I think, one of the best signs of a classic album. And like, it was so good. Every song. But that's it. That was my little story.
All right. Sharon or Louis?
I kind of want to go last.
Louis, do you have anything to add?
I think much to David's point, I knew Janet Jackson was in my orbit. I think we talked about it last time, like the output of the Jackson family in 1984 is, abundant.
A lot.
Right. But, 1986, I think I'm not even 10 yet. And I remember seeing What Have You Done For Me Lately and hearing the conversations of the adults around me, how like, oh my God, you could see Michael in her right there. Right? Like it was always like this comparison to Michael, like in the way she moved, the way she spoke, right? Because that's, when Michael's shadow looms that large, it was inevitable. But I remember staring in complete awe, right? I loved Madonna. I loved Whitney tremendously, and there was a different kind of connection to Janet. Not better, not less, just a different kind of connection. And maybe it was this underdog kind of feeling that I was unable to name at that age because I didn't have the language, right? But I think I felt that as a queer young person. And, we had just moved from our house in one part of North Philly to another. Crack is emerging in my family. So like, it was like this, I became cognizant of the world, I think in ways that other kids didn't have to, right? I was the oldest boy, so I had to take care of my brothers, right? I was clear. I knew what domestic violence abuse looked like. So those things. So I think that's why like Janet and the music was kind of like how I made sense of the world. And we didn't have cameras, right? Because we were poor. So I remember in songs. So like 1986 and 87, like I can pinpoint both trauma and joyful things at any Janet Jackson song, right? Like it is like I could talk about how much I love it, but I could also say, oh my God, I remember that because the cops busted through our door because I remember trying to do this choreography, right? So I think like, control, I think special it doesn't even quite capture what it means because it's literally the soundtrack of a young queer person's life, right? And same thing, I got called faggot, queer, Tinkerbell, all those things at a very young age. And I think in ways that freed me, like I didn't have to be like the other boys and try to act like something I wasn't because I couldn't, right? Nobody was going to believe it, right? So I had to like be out. Even when I didn't want to, I couldn't say, well, I like girls. Bitch, nobody was going to believe that, right? So like I had to like lean into like my femininity. And I did that like doing Janet Jackson moves and I, found that I could dance better than everybody else. Did everybody value that? Maybe not so much, but it gave me an outlet or an entry into a world, into a universe that I created that I can control who was admitted in and who wasn't, right? And I think the last thing I would say, it's that kind of inspiration that Janet gave me, because when you meet somebody else who loves a Janet Jackson song as a young kid, you already know. You don't need to say anything because the language isn't there to say I'm gay too, right? At least for me at 10, you just know you're different, right?
Mhm.
But as soon as you meet another boy, another queer person, who's not even queer, right? You say, I love Janet Jackson. It's like a secret passcode, and you're like, bitch, the world is over here. You said the secret word, let's go.
If I can add on that, I just want you to know that I felt a lot of those things, even though I wasn't, I didn't have the same life experiences because, so I was 86, I was around 10. And, I was listening to, I remember Duran Duran's Notorious came out, which is another album that I adore. Madonna was a huge part of my life. This record came out, and the thing that it represented to me that was so massive to me, and it really spoke to me as a woman, as a girl, right? And I think this is the thing that I think kind of lands maybe for all of us is I felt deeply. So I was what we would call a tween now, a tween girl. I felt so incredibly out of control. And I just mean like, I didn't think I had control over anything, and like for her to show up the way that she did. And like, when you listen to this record, it's like so incredible. It's so profound to me now to listen to this record and know that she was like 19 when she wrote this fucking record. Like the shit that she's saying on this record, it's so brave. It's such a fucking brave record. The shit that she's saying, and she's like standing up for herself and also knowing where she was in her life at that point, and the shit she had already been through and the shit, like the decisions she was making at that point of like basically like betting on herself at a time when you're 19, when you don't know, like that's some like balls to bet on yourself at that point and be like, you know what, I'm going to chart my own course. I'm going to chart my own course independent from my family. And for her to come out and to start a record by saying this is a story about control. I mean, I don't even know how to describe to you the feeling that gave me as a 10-year-old girl to hear another woman say that. It's like to say that so fucking confidently. And like, I don't know for you guys what it felt like, but for me, it felt like just the most incredible feeling of permission, of saying that there's another person out there is telling me that it's possible, that you could fucking step into it. And so like, I just like, that's what the record represented to me. And I remember the first time I heard What Have You Done For Me Lately? That was the first song I ever heard off the record. And I remembered thinking to myself, wow, this is different. Like this is somebody singing about like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, I have a right to like like step up, like what the fuck, step up your game. And I was like, that's kind of cool. That's I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Like you're kind of showing up, for yourself, and then when you hear Nasty, I was just like, fuck, like to hear her stand up and say, like, you will not disrespect me. You will not call me baby. You will call me by my first name. And if you're really good, you will call me by my last name. And it was like the fucking sexual bravado of that shit as a fucking 10-year-old. You're just like, holy shit. I mean, this album is amazing. Right?
It's so interesting because in the Janet Jackson universe, it's such a standalone album too, because she had the weight on unapologetically. Like, I loved the way she looked. Like, it was so beautiful. And I love, this is the one album where this, not the all, like she started with those interludes and stuff on Rhythm Nation, which, that's cool. But this is just a solid fucking, just the songs, just Janet, powerful as fuck. Sorry, Sharon, back to you.
No, it's just like, I just think it's like, it's a, like to me, it was just like, it was an incredible moment of like giving permission to be, and I think like, let's not forget the fact that there are more singles on this record than there are not singles. Like, there are very few records on earth that can claim that, like, that's how fucking good this record is, so
it's not like they were like top 40 singles, like they were top 10 hits.
Yes, top 5.
This fucking record printed money.
Yep.
So, and it printed money because she, like, this whole record was her taking her experience and really mining it and mining it for truth. Like, you think about songs like Pleasure Principle, Nasty, like these were all like her talking about experiences, but showing up for herself as her own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I just think it's, and also it's a fucking great record. It's like one of the like greatest grooves on earth. Anyway, I will shut up now because we have to actually go through the record, but it's like, I just don't think there, like I said, like, you just rarely in life get to talk about like a masterpiece.
It's interesting because like Janet showed up for all of us in all different ways, and in many ways the same way. I think Louis said it best. We didn't love Janet any more or less than Madonna. It was just a different kind of connection. It was a connection unlike anything I'd ever felt before. Because like, I loved all the Prince girls, Sheila E., Vanity, Apollonia. But you knew that Prince was kind of the puppet behind the songs in a way. With this Janet Jackson record, there was nobody but Janet in charge. You knew she ran those sessions. There's certainly no, like, Jam and Lewis did their thing, but there was no way that she was their puppet. Like, she was definitely in control.
I was actually going to say that. I meant to say that earlier. I was thinking about that this morning. There's no way that this record would be Control if Prince had been involved in it. There's no way that Prince would have produced a record that would have ended up with Janet Jackson's Control. If you think about it, in all senses of that word.
And don't you feel like this was a template that like kind of set the stage? Because like, after this, Jody Watley came along, and I didn't feel like Jody was somebody's puppet to me. Janet like just started something that kind of never ended, I feel.
But nobody did it like Janet did.
No one did it like Janet though. Her
impact. No. Her impact on R&B at the moment, like, she was, transitioning the common sound of R&B and getting it to a more modern sound. Like, is it New Jack Swing? Because
I feel like it became New Jack when he got like towards the next album.
Correct, but this was something that was not in the R&B palette at the moment. So she was always ahead of the curve that way.
All right, so let's look at the cover here. The cover was a very bold statement, I felt like. I'm going to show you guys all my collectibles. I have the remix album.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, the More Control remix album. And then let's show the single cover so I can just get all my little shit out of the way. I got my Control vinyl. Yes. The When I Think of You. I got that one. So good. Oh, what's that other one you have there? Let's Wait a While.
No, I don't have. No, it's just Pleasure Principle. And
Pleasure Principle. I don't have that one.
Yeah.
I have the Control.
Yeah.
The Nasty Cool Summer Mix 12-inch. Then the other nasty one. And then, of course, the What Have You Done For Me Lately? I love the marketing and branding. Like the way they did, I love back in the day when an album came out, how the branding and the logo and the artwork kind of maintained a theme through all the single covers. And I thought they did that so strongly on this. Because I think the last single that I got was Control. And they were still doing like the kind of, the look and the typeset and the squiggle lines. I feel like the visuals of this album were just as bold as the music. And I remember just staring at the album cover for hours, that deep red. I love it to this day. Such a strong emergence right there. Even like the little logo there. Like I love everything about it. Does anybody have anything to say about the cover before we go into the music? Am I fangirling too much about the cover? Because I love it.
I love the cover. It's just so not art deco. It was just like so modern to me and just bold. Just the color choice. I love that, like you said, the squiggle, and it was just dope. Like it just stood out. It still stands out. So as a matter of fact, I'm actually considering having it blown up in a huge canvas and putting it somewhere in my home.
Okay, I have to show you guys some artwork I bought. There's a nonprofit in St. Pete, Florida, with people. Hold on, let me pause for a second. Okay, there's a nonprofit where people with disabilities take records and paint on them. And look at this one I bought.
Aw.
Well, that looks great.
I loved it. I saw this and fell in love with it, and I display it in my room. So I bought this, and I had to share it with y'all. I wish I could remember the name of it. Oh, is it on here? No. If you Google it, you can look it up. But I bought it in St. Pete. But yes, I love this album cover. Ooh, I gotta get back on. Like I'm so like lost in my emotion, Lisa style.
Nice.
Does anybody else have anything to say about the album cover?
Yeah.
She had long hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had never seen her with all that hair. I was like, I she always had short hair to me. So I was like, it just like, and like, I know she danced a bit, but she really danced in this one. And it was like, there was something that stuck out, made her unique, made her like I know a lot of people were always, comparing her to her brother, but to me, she was her own entity. Like I actually like her more than I like him. And I her music was always like what I love about this album. It began I always remember always saying, yo, whenever you get a Janet album, you have 6 to 7 hits, always. And she had a streak of albums, starting with this one, where it was like, oh, girl, the best investment you could do is buy a Janet Jackson album because you're going to get your money's worth and more.
Totally. Sharon, what were you going to say?
The artist who did the cover, Tony Veramanis, is that right? He also did the Arcadia, So Red the Rose. And that's like the work he did on Arcadia is like one of my favorite covers ever. And so like I just happen to love like this cover and that cover, like one of my 2 favorite covers ever. So
see, that's why we need you on this podcast. Who else would bring in Arcadia? Didn't Arcadia only have one album?
Yes, and it's also like one of my all-time, fun fact, also like one of the most expensive records ever made because Nick Rhodes. But yeah. So,
Sharon, when's your birthday? I'll listen to Arcadia and do a podcast for you.
August 10th.
All right, let's do
That's
it.
my mom's birthday. Good times.
Yeah, I love that. I love that record.
All right. Does anybody else want to touch on the cover before we move on to the music?
Yeah, the artist Tori Montes, who passed away from AIDS complications in 1988 of May, also did a album cover for Donna Summer. I can't remember.
It has to be All Systems Go because it looks just like that same style. Oh my God! No way!
Yeah, and he did a couple of other like singles. So like I guess when you're vinyl shopping, like you'll see things that are very similar. It was a very similar style. His fashion sketches are very similar, which is why he was chosen to do this album cover. Subsequently, the single covers as well. I remember going into the record store because I wasn't buying music at this time because I wasn't getting my own money. There was no money to get got. But
A
I remember,
5-figure discount always worked for me.
I want to say I knew cassettes existed at this time, but I remember my family only had 45s and 12 inches. So my point of reference to music were round, and you can't stick a round object into your pants pocket, depending on what it is. But I remember going into the record store with my uncle and like staring at the album cover, and it was on the wall, and like trying to make sense of it, right? Because trying to connect it with the song, with the music video, right? Because you don't have that much connection to artists back then. There's no social media. So what you get is what you can see if you can see them perform on Soul Train, American Bandstand, or Solid Gold, right? Like, but I remember that being the first time I was struck by album art.
Wow, that's so cool that you brought up the All Systems Go because I love Donna Summer. That's not one of my favorite albums by her, but she had that same squiggly lines on the album cover. So cool. All right. Anyone else control cover artwork before we go into the first song? All right. The song Control. What can be freaking said? I just watched the video. I never saw the long version of the video where they're like have all the dialogue and stuff before. I don't think they showed that on MTV. At least I don't remember. I just remember like the live concert video. But what a mission statement. What a way, because I really think of this as like the start of her music career. What a way to start a music career. What a bold song. It's very personal because, you know, she was married. And this is, you know, right from the beginning, we have the classic Janet Jackson bridge that I love. And it's right in the song, the Got My Own. Like, she's a master from the freaking, right from the first track. All right. Who wants to jump in and start talking about Control?
This is a story about my control.
Oh.
About my control. No. It's a killer. It's probably one of the best album openers ever. It's just like, it's almost like weird. Like I felt like I was like flying into space. You know, you hear the music in the background as she's talking in that whispery voice, and you're like, okay, we're going on a trip. So, and we didn't know like what to expect. And when that just the whole opening and the beats drop, like my hair still stands up to this day when I hear that. And then the lyrics, you know, like, you know, I've got my own life. I got to make my own decisions, and you know, talking about her mother, about her father, about the relationship with the barge, and like everything that was just all the control she was under. She just let it all up in that song, and she broke out opening that album with an entire story in that one song. Amazing.
You know, looking back, Madonna, of course, had her songs like Over and Over and like really positive messages. But Janet Jackson really gave you permission to be yourself in a way that no one ever had. And, you know, yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
I was gonna say, like, so I think you guys know, like, I love Over and Over. It's like one of my favorite Madonna songs. Like, Janet hit more of an emotional truth with Control than I think Madonna had really gotten to at this point, right? Like, she like I said, she kind of mined her own personal history, like fairly transparently in the lyrics. And like I said, like it's pretty profound to me that she was like 19 and she's talking about this stuff, and she's like kind of putting a stake in the ground. Also, like, it's a little profound to me that she's literally saying, now I'm all grown up, and she's 19/20. It's like, no, sweetie, you are not all grown up. But like, but she probably did live in dog years, given like the family she was in and the pressure she was under, and television shows and all of that. And already having been married and divorced at that point, that's insane. So like, but the fact that she comes out of the gate with like a mission statement or a manifesto like that was like setting the stage, like in the context for the whole record, which is like, I am in the driver's seat. I am in control. This is going to be me. This is going to be all about me.
And I feel like maybe Janet doesn't get credit enough, because when you think about women's liberation, like back in the 70s, Carly Simon wrote some things that were very forward. Joni Mitchell's Blue album was a very emotionally naked album. Of course, they always say for a woman, which why does it have to be like that? But who ever came out and said things as a woman the way that Janet did? I can't think of anybody.
No. And in fact, if you think about it, when we talk about Madonna, we often talk about Madonna being this like unabashedly like woman-centric, woman-forward type. Like I would say we don't actually talk about Janet that way very often.
We don't.
But that record, if you think about it, like that is like one of the like prevailing truths about this record. Is like, you think about Nasty, you think about Pleasure Principle, you think about Control, right?
Let's Wait a While.
Yeah. But these are all, and Let's Wait a While is such a sweet, beautiful song. But all of these songs are about her asserting her position in a relationship and in her life, and saying, I'm going to take agency,
Yeah, I definitely feel like
ways.
I feel like our girl Janet does not get the credit and the props she does for really pushing things along for women, for gay men,
and for blacks.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't get the credit. I'm always the first one to say she's a legend. She deserves all her flowers. This album, it's just like, she breaks out Control, and it's like, as a child, sometimes it doesn't click with you. I was 9, but then it clicked, and you're listening and you're like, damn, what did she go through that she is so happy now because she is in control? Like, I did not know what she had went through, and the only thing I knew was that she was married and it got annulled, and that her father was very controlling on her music scene and how she was to be seen, and she didn't like it. And I think, as gay men, we gravitate to strong women like that.
And this album is definitely what the sound of, if you had to put a sound to liberation, like, this is that sound.
I mean, I will tell you, as a 10-year-old girl, without getting too personal, I felt very much like I was not in control of my life with my own family life. And I saw in her and how honest and transparent she was being in her songs, and how she showed up in these songs with such strength. Like, you can't make up the strength that she like in these songs, right? And like, I think one of the things that's so great about this record is that it's so not sexual. And that's one of the things I actually love about the record. Like it has its moments of sexiness, but she's in control of it the whole way through. She's sexy when she wants to be sexy, but it's never tawdry. It's like she's in control when she wants to be controlled. She's powerful when she wants to be powerful. Sometimes she's sexy, but it's all like it's her. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, I remember at the time, you know, I without, again, not getting into too much detail about my personal life, like I had a difficult relationship with my dad, and I felt very much under his control. And hearing her, I didn't even know much about her relationship with her dad. I now know, like, hearing her manifest and say, listen, like, this is like, I'm going to show up for myself. Like, I sensed that as a 10-year-old, you know, and like, that really was meaningful to me, even if I didn't understand it. Like, I sensed it. And that's part of what I think is like the power of this record, is you can kind of sense it, you know?
I think what Janet was telling us on this album turned out to be true, because as she did emerge with more sexual material later, it was totally on her terms and she was always in control of it. And Janet stayed in control. You know, she had her 2000s, which were a hard time for her, but you know, she always ends up back in control. Oh.
Power tools.
Yeah, I mean him.
Like,
right.
when she's sexy, she's always sexy on her terms. That's what I love. Always on her terms.
And it's not something like stupid, like it's natural for her. Like, we'll get to my song, which is at the end, the last song, and it's effortlessly, like,
it wasn't like when Christina Aguilera showed up with Stripped and it's like, see, I'm a powerful sexual woman now. Like,
like some people will try to shed their goody image and go really far. Like with Janet, it took her time, and I kind of like it because she was young as well. So she was experiencing, she was going through life experiences, and it wasn't something that was like overtly. Like, you know, if I wanted overtly, I had Madonna, and Madonna was a fledged woman. Like, she was in her 20s and stuff like that, not compared to Janet, who was like 19. And literally the things that she was talking about, a 19-year-old can relate to. The control, like, you know what, I don't, you know, I like you, but I'm not ready to sleep with you. You know what I mean? And like, and you're going to respect me if you think you're going to get any of that first. So it's this album is just, it's a classic through and through.
Yeah, I definitely took the Madonna route when it came to the bedroom. I think my theme was like, let's wait till we get up the stairs.
You waited that long?
4.5 minutes.
All right. Any other thoughts on the song Control before we move on?
Number one dance, number one R&B, top 5. I think I forget where it charted on the Hot 100, but it was her third.
Yeah,
it was her third number one on the R&B charts. It's really weird because like all the singles except for When I Think of You went number one on R&B, but overall on the Hot 100, only When I Think of You hit number one. I guess because of the pop leaning sound that it had at the time.
All right. Well, let's move on to track 2. Now, how can someone not say that Janet Jackson's in full control? Because that bit, give me a beat, like she's not playing.
No.
I'm like, okay, we will.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Okay. Boys are fucking nasty. Like, boys are nasty motherfuckers, and I'm glad. But we love them. We love them. I read somewhere that Jam and Lewis had written this song originally for a Vanity 6 reunion. That's what I read somewhere. That they had Nasty Girl And then they started a song called Nasty Boy that was meant to be for Vanity 6. I can't confirm that, but I did read it in a couple different places. Whatever they had brought to the table with this, clearly Janet had, finished it off and took it to her own level, because there was no way Vanity was singing this song the way it was written. It was, this was Janet Jackson through and through. So, I'm not a fool. Like this
That was, and like I love me some Vanity, but she wasn't in that headspace
no.
to serve
Would
this, because the
never.
thing is, it's like a lot of people, oh, nasty, but you gotta listen to those lyrics. This is nothing like, it's nothing sexual. Like she's literally telling you that men are crap, and if you want to get with a woman like me, you need to respect me.
You got to show up with respect.
Exactly.
And it's like, it wasn't like you kind of got to show up with respect. Like you have to show up with, like, there was no air room in this. It was not optional. You had to show up with respect. She was not having it any other way. Even though I do like some nasty food myself. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to eat after this podcast. But
I was all like, I'm already getting into my nasty groove, y'all.
And as Sharon said in the chat earlier, what's the most iconic line ever?
Know my name, baby. It's Janet, Miss Jackson.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Like I would like, it has been almost 30, 40 years already. And I will still be telling people I call her Miss Jackson because I'm nasty. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so synonymous with her. That I love the video. Oh my God, we have Paula Abdul up in this fucking video.
Paula shows up.
And it's like, I was like, and at that moment, I was like, I knew who she was because I watched the Lakers and I knew that she was a choreographer. I didn't know that she was going to be coming out with an album in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was like, Janet always had it in her to dance, but I guess it was great that Paula was able to bring it out on her. You know what I mean? At that moment. And just like the phenomenal dancing in these videos, she turned it the fuck out.
But the fucking attitude of this song is the best shit ever.
Can you imagine her in the studio, like laying down these vocal tracks? They must have been having so much fun.
I mean, after laying down that line, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, I would go home and kiss my own ass. like, how do you like you're done. You're done. Like,
can we talk about the beat? Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And it's like, and the bridge. I was just like, I'm like dissecting the song, and I was like, oh, it was so, it's like, obviously it starts off, give me a beat, bam, and you're like, oh yes, oh yes. I was like, yes, ma'am, let's do this. And then the lyrics come through, and you're set. And you got nasty boys don't mean a thing. I'm like, it's classic Janet. It is. Yeah. It is signature song.
One thing is, it's like that. Not only like you said, Shannon, the attitude, and then with the beat, and it's just like that. She's coming for you. Like she's making a statement. She's coming for you, and I love that part in the segment in the music when it's just like dun 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 dun. Like she's just. It's just like she's coming for you, and I love that. And it's just again such attitude in that song. It's just amazing. And like you guys said, also the Paula, in the theater, and the way she's calling everybody out, and of course the iconic line, like the whole thing is just a fucking masterpiece. It is.
I'll go ahead, Sharon.
It's one of the greatest songs ever written. It's like, I'm sorry, it's one of the greatest songs ever written. It's like I defy you to have you ever met anyone that does not love this song? I don't know that I've ever met anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are people that exist. Like I don't doubt that there are people that don't love the song, but I've literally never met one.
Probably the nasty boys themselves are the ones that don't like it because it hits
so quotable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so quotable. It is one of her, like I said, it's one of her signature songs. You just know it's Janet when you hear it.
And it's true, dudes are nasty. So I love it. I don't think I had heard anybody call the guys out like that at that time.
never. And I just watched the Whitney movie, and one of the biggest challenges of her career was that Jeff, I'm gonna mute your barbells when you're not talking. Are you okay with that?
Oh, I thought I muted myself already. I'm sorry. I thought I muted myself.
Oh, it's all good. I feel like I'm on the video set of Diana Ross Muscles.
All
Anyway.
over his body.
What was I gonna say? Oh, the Whitney Houston movie, like they really tried to, take away her blackness from her. And I feel like Janet came out black, woman, and proud. Unapologetically. And I don't think anyone at A&M Records tried to make this album any more white or any more commercial.
The thing is, once again, who was in full control at the moment? Was Whitney ever in control of her career?
No.
So this is when you are doing what you want to do, it'll translate in the art.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about, I don't know if this is funny or not, but the funny thing about Janet Jackson's Control is like, Jeffrey and I are like the whitest people alive. Like that record was like insanely effective. So
good music, regardless of the genre, will always
good music.
Will always get people.
It puts together the bourgeoisie and the rebel, as one of ours said. But you know what? She's right.
Yep.
God, I wish some music, and that's what not, this is a side tangent, but back in my day, when the world was a little bit smaller before the internet, pop culture really did kind of solidify the world and bring it together. And now that music doesn't have the same cultural impact, I feel like we're more fragmented as a society from it. Because think of an album like Control. It infiltrated my small, white, racist, motherfucking terrible hometown, and it made an impact. Music just isn't reaching as deep into the culture as it once did, I don't feel like, and unifying people in a way that it once did. So
yeah, I agree with you.
All right. Any other thoughts on Nasty?
Nasty boy.
Track 3. I know he used to do nice things for you. But what has he done for you?
But what has he done for you?
First single off the record.
And then Paula does the little neck one.
Yeah. This is the first song I think this is probably the first Janet song I ever heard. I remember there was like some like Entertainment Tonight special or something, and it was something like, and they were like, oh, and it's the new Janet Jackson song. And it was like literally my literal introduction to Janet. And as I said earlier in the stream, like I was just like, whoa, who is this? What is going on? And you had that little like Prince funk kind of thing going on, And I just remember just like it just blew my mind. I was just like, whoa, I did not know that someone could show up like this and be like, excuse me, what are you doing? But what have you done lately? Like you were like, that's great that you did that then, but what about now?
And I think, being in a few unhealthy relationships myself, we need to take a cue from Miss Janet. People got to keep showing up. They can't just show up for the honeymoon phase. You used to take me to dinner every night. Now you're making me go to Wawa by myself, motherfucker.
Child.
Now those dancing feet
Couch
are
is getting more action.
Listen, my dancing feet want to be on the couch, though, to be honest.
The way these videos started to blend with each other, it was like a continuation. Like I'll like when I think of you and what have you done for me lately seem like they're just like continuation of videos. Like it's the same judge, and you know, she's in her like shoulder pad thing and her really tight pants and just throwing moves left and right.
And I also feel this is a masterful piece of pop R&B songwriting, because that bridge, I never asked for more than I just, because the song starts off, you know, kind of funk, but then it goes into this glorious bridge, and then from there she starts that Janet talking. You ought to be thankful. Like, so much attitude in this song, and it just keeps building, and it's so powerful. This song is everything. It's aged well. The message is timely.
This is like, I don't know if this is going to play for you guys, but to me, I feel like this is the set piece to express yourself.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
No, I see it.
It is and it isn't, because like express yourself is like have the courage to speak out and say, listen, this is what I need in a relationship, which is a little bit different of a message. But for me, when I think about it, it's like, it's having the courage to say, listen, like, what do you like, show up in the relationship. Like, I can't be the one doing all the work here. Like, you have to show up and be an equal partner, you know? And so like, that's what I kind of like about it. It's actually saying, listen, I expect you to come. Like, I don't expect, I respect myself enough to say, I expect you to actually show up. You know,
see, Sharon, I've always wanted an express yourself relationship, but they always ended up being till death do us part. Alrighty.
If it makes you feel better, most of my relationships have also been till death do us.
I always wanted a "What have you done for me lately?" and I always end up with like 20YO B-side. But anyway,
I eventually got an express yourself, but it only took me 40 years.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on "What have you done for me lately"?
Can I just say, classic,
like
iconic, like how can you write a better song? How can you write a better song? Is it possible? It's so good that Jeff X is crushing it at the gym right now.
Exactly.
I know Jeff's about to talk because I can hear like the. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, the word of barbells and people at the gym. Yeah, no, I was gonna say that it's definitely iconic. It's her introduction. It's what gave her the new fresh face, the makeover. That was her makeover introduction song to me. Actually to all of us, because she wasn't really that popular in music prior to the song. So this is the song that put her on the map, that blew her up.
Yeah, this is the first
and
top
that video, that kick-ass video, all that choreography. Paula again in the video once again. Actually, her first time in the video, because Nasty came out after. But they just killed it. That choreography. And as I said, I have that clip of me. I had seen the music video one time, and just one time. And I remember I memorized some of those moves, and you can actually see me doing some of those moves. And I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I only saw it one time, and my mom, and I rushed out to the store to get the record. I still have that vinyl, the actual one my mom gave me. It's actually still framed in my guest room. So, yeah, it's the song that made me forget. Like I said, once she came out, I forgot who was Madonna, who was Michael, who was Prince. Like, right now, it was all about Janet time. It was Janet time for me. And again, like you guys said, the attitude and the power of that song. And I just love that sweeping, almost like a sweeping vacuum beat. It's a Minneapolis, but they put that, you know, like, it's just the way they just did that was fucking sick. So love it. It's basically a lot of people's reintroduction to Janet. Or actually first time discovering her. That was our first really for a lot of.
Yeah.
So, you know, on the vinyl, the first 3 songs of the album, I think, are all iconic masterpieces. Some of the best songwriting of all time.
Yep.
So we have one last song on side 1, and it was one of the rare occasions that we didn't have a single on Control. But I still think the song is "You Can Be Mine," and I still think I think it's delightful.
Yeah,
it's very old school Janet, but it works.
I like the because like for the first time, like as would throughout many times of Janet's career, like the fuck she's saying. So like you just kind of sing along like like I don't know what the fuck she's saying. And I didn't do like her next 10 albums half the time. But I love this song. I like this song. You know, it's of course it's not nasty, but what is? But I think perfect song. We had 3 heavy hitters. You had to have a little bit of an exhale at the end of the side. You had to. Like you just couldn't keep up that momentum. And I think this is the best. I love this song. I'm gonna shut up and let someone else talk.
I feel like I said earlier, it's a nod to her old stuff because it's very poppy to me, and I love it, but it's very dated. Like it should have been on Dream Street. I feel like this was something that should have been on Dream Street that would have been good for Dream Street.
I feel like it's like what Dream Street should have and could have
exactly. And like her foray, with the exception of one song on this album, her foray into the pop world was really good in this album. Because later on we'll talk about when I think of you, but this is a good song. I give this a good solid 7, 8. It's a non-single, but it's good.
I think it's a great track. And like I think the worst thing about this track is that it was done a disservice by the fact that it was stacked up against like 3 of some of the best tracks that were ever written in the pop canon. So like it's suffering from the fact that it's being compared against like literal iconic classics. It's a great track. It's a total like it's a banger. It is in fact a banger. Let's not forget that it's like you listen to the whole side 1. It's a great fucking side 1. You know, like
a flawless side 1.
It is. It's a fucking flawless side 1. Like if anyone's sitting here going, "Oh, it's not as good as some of the other tracks," it's like get over it. It's a great fucking side 1.
It is a great side 1. Like
to me,
it's
like
a great
I can hear this song and have not have an issue.
Right. It's like is it as iconic? No. Are you going to skip it? Maybe.
Never. Oh, maybe.
A great side 1? Yes.
I feel like it's like if this was the Fleetwood Mac universe, this would be the I don't want to know. Because I look at Control as like Janet's Rumors. Full of all the hits, powerful. And yeah. I was trying to think of another side 1 that's just as iconic, and you guys might disagree with me, but I think of the Pointer Sisters Breakout. Because you open up with Jump for My Love, you have Automatic, then I'm So Excited. Then you have I feel like the You Can Be Mine is what's the 4th song on Breakout? I Need You. I think of You Can Be Mine as the I Need You. And then of course side 1 ended with Neutron Dance. This is of course the second pressing of the album. But like it was all hits, just like side 1 in Control.
It's all hits.
All right. Do y'all want to break before side 2, or should we just keep trucking along?
Let's keep trucking along.
Let's keep trucking because I want some chicken wings and deep fried mushrooms.
I don't blame you.
I want some nasty food.
Well, I'll just say I love that song "You Can Be Mine," and I think it's cute. To me, it sounds almost like a precursor. Along with When I Think of You, they're both kind of precursors to Escapade.
Okay.
Yes.
And Love Will Never Do Without In Love Will Never Do Without You.
Yes.
Yeah. So like.
Totally.
So because even her vocal like da, 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 it's very Escapade.
Oh yeah.
Da, da, da. And I love the chorus when it goes, you can be mine, and then it goes, you can be mine. So I think that's so cute. I love it. I love that.
And let's not forget, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, like she took some legit risks on Rhythm Nation. Like going into like you think about like songs like Black Cat, it's like that was like she did some ballsy moves like in terms of like stretching her musical palette. So like this was kind of like a precursor into like saying I'm going to stretch my wings a little bit. So, and
just a little preview for next month. I think Escapade is the perfect song.
Escapade is like literally perfect song.
Perfect song.
Perfect song.
Makes me so happy.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
You literally could not improve upon that song. We'll have a good time. Leave your troubles behind.
Oh, I would love to.
Louis,
Okay.
Louis, what do you think of this song? Do you
Louis-
like this song, Louis?
Louis stepped away.
Oh,
Yeah, when he comes back, we'll have him catch up on all the songs. We'll do like
Exactly.
a comprehensive. All right, so this is where you turn over the vinyl. The songwriting credit for the song is Monty Moore.
Yes.
This is one of the only songs Janet did not write on the album, right? But it almost feels like the most personal in a weird way. Monty was another member of The Time, which was disbanded by this point, right? Because Prince was pissed at them all. The song, of course, is The Pleasure Principle. We have a shout out to Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi in the lyrics.
I wanted to ask you about that. That totally stuns me. Like
Yeah.
that they went there. Like what?
And you know, it's well known that Prince and all the Minneapolis people were huge Joni fans. That's how I became. I'm going to see Joni next month, and that's when I'm going to meet Sharon in person. I learned about Joni because it said Joni on the back cover of Controversy, and then he mentioned Joni in the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. So that's how that was my entryway into Joni Mitchell. And then they mentioned her Big Yellow Taxi in the song, so I came to Joni Mitchell through Prince in the Prince universe, and huge Joni fan here.
Interesting.
So The Pleasure Principle. Do we talk about the song first or the fucking iconic music video? Because those are two whole different discussions. Let's start with the song. What a powerful beginning to side two. Like, we had a moment to breathe with You Can Be Mine, and then boom, Pleasure Principle.
Is this the best dance record on the album?
Yes.
Yes?
It
Yeah,
is.
I think
And,
so.
like, oh, it's so good. Like, let me tell you, like, I don't know, but every time I hear it, I just want to strut.
Mhm.
I want to take on the day. Like
Mhm.
this, another signature song, but this is so good. So good. Like, to me, it's my number 2 song on the album. Only one is bigger, because I'm a horny hoe. But this is,
We knew that, honey. We knew
I
that.
know, but like this song is so good, and it's classic Janet. It is so Janet. Like nobody else could do this song. Who could do this song?
Nobody.
Like
Nobody.
I don't.
Pebbles. What if Pebbles tried to take this one on? No, I'm just kidding.
Child, I wouldn't shock me the way she'd be snatching those singles from other people.
don't you ever say that, John.
Oh! Straight from
Oh my
Pepitone.
goodness, no.
Don't
Nothing
remember it all.
Pepitone. It is my favorite. This is my favorite ultimate song by Janet overall, and it's
Of
my
all
favorite,
time, Jeff?
obviously. Yep.
Oh, yes.
It's my favorite song on the album, and it's my favorite song overall of her entire discography.
Nice.
It has the beat has those freestylish vibes,
Yes.
and the lyrics, the fucking lyrics are so personal to me.
Yep.
We turn wrong and I say right, which brings us to a stop as the light is changing. All the metaphors, thank you for the ride nowhere. It's not the first time I've paid the fare. I paid the price for your bullshit. So and here we are at this crossroad, and oh, my meter's running. I gotta go because it's the pleasure principle. So and I love that all the metaphors that were thrown in there, everything that's gone wrong, with the relationship and whatever, and it's very personal to me. It's liberating. Like David said, when you hear that song, it's kind of like I want to seize the day. I sometimes play it when I'm waking up and doing my push-ups. There's times this is one of my playlist songs when I'm at the gym. It's on that workout playlist. It just pumps you up. And I think of the video, and we're getting into that next, but I think of the video and just that liberation. And she had lost the weight and she looked great, and she looked great before anyway, but she lost weight. She was just, doing cartwheels and shit and jumping off chairs or whatever it was. And it was just so energetic, and it was just her. No dancers, no flashy stage, no outfit. It was just jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt and her hair down. And she wrecked the fuck out of that video, which I know you're gonna get into. Sorry, I'm going a little ahead, but just all of it, the full package of the entire song, the message, the production, the writing, the video, the image, everything. Just it's so personal to me, and it hits me hard. And also, it is mine and one of my favorite cousins who unfortunately passed away. She passed away when we were 26, 27 years old, and that was her favorite song. And some years before she passed, I know she was like, make me a copy of like all the like dope summer jams we used to jam to when we were kids. And she was like, you got to put Pleasure Principle on there. That's got to be like the main track. So that one, like Jermaine Stewart, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, and songs like that. So she was like, put that one. So, and I remember she was going through my records, and she held up the single that you were holding, Shannon, of the Pleasure Principle with the cover and all that. Which that photo was taken by Dave Chappelle. and David LaChapelle. I'm sorry, David LaChapelle. Yeah, LaChapelle, not the comedian.
Like,
so yeah, she was like, oh my God, Pleasure Principle. Like she saw it again later, and she's like, oh my God, that's my song, and I miss her dearly. So it has sentiment to it. It's personal in several ways, lyrically, musically, emotionally, and it's my go-to Janet song.
And another thing about this song is side one was so full of messages of empowerment. I'm taking back my life. You have to treat me better. What have you done for me lately? But then you flip over the record, and this song really has a little bit of a melancholy and the infamous sadness. But there is some sadness, and that's what really pulled me in, because I've always had like a little bit of that sadness in my bones and that wistfulness. And this song really showed, and it's ironic because even though Janet didn't write the song, she completely owns it just as much as the material on side one. And you can hear the vulnerability and the sadness. It's so real in the song. And this is the one that I started crying like before the podcast, because it's so real. This song is so real. And
everything about this song, like every time I hear it, I don't know if you guys get the same reaction, but like I'll get like my hair like standing on my arm sometimes when I hear this song, like when it comes on, because like certain lines will just hit me at certain points. So the line that hits me almost every time is I'm not here to feed your insecurities. I wanted you to love me. Like that's like the couplet that always hits me, because like that was like very, like that was how I felt in like two very specific relationships in my life, but the thing that I love about this song, like whether or not she wrote it or didn't write it, like I do feel like she very much, she's certainly in the singing of it, I think very much identified, like I like she definitely found her truth in the singing of it, for sure. Like this is like the song, the feelings are like we all know what this feels like. And I love the fact that even though to your point, it is very melancholy, this whole like the feeling of like, like, okay, you know what, like it's time, like I'm out, dude, I'm out, right? But I love the fact that even in like this sort of like melancholy, like acceptance or kind of coming to an acknowledgement that like this situation is not good anymore, like there is a sort of sense of strength in it. It's like coming to awareness and coming to acceptance, and coming to awareness and acceptance and having that melancholy, but also coming to it in a place of strength. Like she doesn't seem, she may seem sad, but she doesn't seem defeated to me in these lyrics and the way that she sings this song, And I also, like, for me personally, there's nothing that makes me happier on earth than hearing a song where you're saying, you know what, I may be down, but I'm not out, and it's a fucking dance song. Mm-hmm. I like nothing on earth makes me happier than that. It's like, that's why I like not to be like dance this shit out.
Yeah. And not to once again be like the old person, but like the lyrics of dance music got very like material, VIP, we're at the club oriented. And I miss when we came of age, when music was about love and emotion. Like Let the Music Play by Shannon. What a powerfully emotional song. A Pleasure Principle. Yep. Just as powerful as anything on a Joni Mitchell album to me. And we were talking about how You Can Be Mine was kind of a precursor to Escapade and stuff like that. This song I feel is the precursor to like What About from Velvet Rope and stuff from Unbreakable, where Janet really can dig deep, really deep. And she did it throughout, even like Unbreakable, her last full-length album is what in my top 3 Janet albums. Like she's a thinker, and you can hear it starting in this song. Like we knew on the side 1 of the album she could kick ass. Here we know that she can fucking feel really deeply. And that's why she's everything to me. And then one more thing, then I'll shut the fuck up. I'm never Madonna versus Janet. I love them both. I need them both. Like to me, it's Madonna and Janet.
Correct.
But at the time,
Same.
in 1986, Madonna, we got really personal with Madonna and Like a Prayer. But at this point, Madonna hadn't done something as deep as Pleasure Principle for me. Like, at this time we had Madonna, Like a Virgin, and True Blue. She wasn't digging deep like she would later.
For me, I gotta comment on that.
I was gonna say I have a comment on that too.
To me, her deepest was
Live to Tell.
Oh yeah, Jeff and I were on the same page there.
Yeah, I was like, Live to Tell. That's when I saw. That's when I got.
We were on the same page
from her.
See, I like Live to Tell,
Blue,
but it didn't impact me the way some of her later stuff does. And I guess you guys are right.
Yeah.
And I will say too, I want to say is that when I did break up with an ex of mine, whom Jeremy and David both know, who was like my ex-husband at the time, and one of my besties and I he drove from Miami 3 hours north to pick me up and pack all his shit, and we dropped it off at his house. By the time he came back from work, he got a surprise of his life. And I dumped him and caught him on all these lies and cheating and all that stuff. And then when we got in the car, I felt like that weight lift off of me. And I may have mentioned this in a Madonna podcast too. I felt like this great weight lift off of me and just drift away into the air as we had the windows rolled down in his Mustang and we blasted. He was like, put on some music, and the first song I chose was this one.
Oh, I love it.
So that was, and we were singing it to the top of our lungs, hitting the highway, and I just felt so free and just so liberated. And like you said, Shannon, that she doesn't sound like down and like beaten or whatever. I forgot what you exactly used. Defeated. She doesn't sound defeated. Actually, it's defeat. It's the coming of from that defeat, and now she's grown strength, and now she's overcome it, and now she's moving on. She's like, I know who I am, I know where I stand, and I'm glad that I cut you off, and I'm bye. So, because at the end, she's just like, after all the stuff you've put me through, and love me, baby, love me. Yeah. So it sounds to me like she's saying, like, and the way I always took it, and I still do, when she's singing those final notes and like love me, it's just like she's learned to love herself. Like I've had to learn to love myself, and it is what it is. And so and I love that. So that's personal to me too.
Yeah, I guess I for the listeners out there, I totally forgot about Live to Tell. That's just that is of course the deepest fuck song. But I guess at the time it didn't impact me. Years later, of course, I learned the depth of Live to Tell.
There's 2 songs in the Madonna canon that have had an impact, a very significant emotional impact on me at this point in time. Live to Tell was one, and Oh Father together.
Okay.
Like what's your other one, Shannon?
Oh Father.
Oh Father. Okay, mine's is Live to Tell, and This Used to Be My Playground.
Yeah, well, that's a great one too. But the line, you didn't mean to be cruel, so somebody hurt you too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that line even now, when if it catches me at a certain moment, man, I'll just fucking
so wonderful.
I know this is a deep cut, but the Madonna song that always really hit me was Skin from Ray of Light. Why do all the things I say sound like the stupid things? Because that's so fucking me. I'm so stupid. Okay, but we already covered that album. And Sharon, that was your introduction to the Madonna universe, wasn't it? Ray of Light.
Well, to this Madonna.
To the podcast, yeah.
Yeah, to the podcast, not to the actual Madonna universe.
All right, so everyone out there, yes, I fucked up. Live to Tell, of course. Okay.
That's fine.
The Pleasure Principle, the video. The fucking video.
God. Oh my God.
The video. God damn it. The video. Janet Jackson.
Tight jeans. The choreo, everything.
Look, every single person here is not attracted to women, but I would fuck her.
Yeah.
Facts.
Like
Yeah.
she is like, I'm sorry. Like that is like
And I feel like
she's
everything she was saying in all the videos and songs up to this point, she showed right there. Like she said she was in control, you know, but there was just such a self-assuredness that was effortless and such an ease here that she didn't have to say she's in control by this point. She just was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, there's not like she's not, I mean, I could watch that video 50 times in a row and never tire of it. Like, there's just nothing. I don't know. Like, it's so funny because the video in some ways is so simple, but I just don't know if anyone's ever captured. Like, it's just there's just something about it that's just so like seeing her come so fully into her own. You know, like.
You know what's weird is at the time, and I hate to even admit this out loud, like when it first came out, I was underwhelmed by it. I'm like, oh, this is a throwaway video. And and of course, you know, I learned the power of the video not too long after, probably, you know, by after it was out a few times. But I feel like throughout the years, many people have tried to copy it and never could recapture it. Like, didn't Lady Gaga try to kind of do a dance video with Edge of Glory where she's just dancing?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same. It's not the same, but it's not like I don't think she was trying to make the Pleasure Principle with Edge of Glory, but like Edge of Glory is like not even like a third rate Pleasure Principle. I don't.
The way she commands in that video, it's just her in a chair.
But it's so good.
It is. It is so good. Her hair is slicked back. It is straight to the bone.
What's it say on her shirt? Does anyone know? Because I was trying to read it, then I forgot to like pause it and look.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
It just took my breath away when I watched it. I just had tears. The power.
There's so much power.
The power and the joy, like the joy of fucking just telling someone like, this is how I feel. I'm being vulnerable to you. I'm gonna dance my fucking ass off.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm mad, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna work out this pent frustration on my dance moves.
And that's what I did through my 20s and my 30s, and I feel like I kind of broke up with the dance floor in my 40s, and I miss it kind of.
Get back to it. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's a powerful video and it inspired me. I remember jumping around my house using our dining room chairs to try to do what she did and almost busting my ass and my mom yelling at me, why are you doing that with the chair? What is it with you with the chair? In Spanish. And it was just because I was obsessed and I wanted to like replicate what she was doing and I couldn't. But it was a good time. And again, I already mentioned that earlier. So, but yeah, I love that video and everything that it stands for, the lighting and the choreography is just on point. And I listen to that sometimes before I work out or when I'm working out. So it just gets you ready. Like it pumps you up. Like, you know, you're warming up before the game, so to speak, you know, like it's just one of those warm up songs before you go kick ass.
Yep.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to say about the Pleasure Principle? The song, the video.
This is my second all-time favorite Janet song.
Oh.
It's definitely in my top 10. Whew. I needed like a exhale. And you know what? What greater exhale is there than When I Think of You? Like when they sequenced this album, they were genius because they took, they started side 2. And I miss when records were side 1 and side 2 because you could create a vibe. There's a 12-inch single. I loved in the Janet videos, they would always kind of use different remixes in the videos too. That's when they started doing that. This song is pure joy to me. And it's Janet Jackson can bring joy in a way that no one else can. When I Think of You, Escapade, These songs literally make me feel good, and I am a tortured fucking soul. Madonna, and once again, it's not verses, but in the Madonna universe, a song that comes close for me is Cherish. I know it's a little cheesy, but it really makes me, Romeo and Juliet never felt this way, I bet.
It's a pop song. These are pop
You don't
songs.
understand my point of view.
These are cute pop songs that are like, I don't want to say basic, but it is, the lyrics are universal. And who is not to, like, this song was everything back then. Like,
oh my God, everything.
Like, I remember everything, the video, her, like, the continuation video, because it seemed like it was done in one shot, because she went from here to there to there. She broke into steps, and then she moved somewhere else, and then she had the guy, and then she kept moving off to somewhere else. And it was just like, it's like, it was so good. It's a great pop song.
And that was kind of the format of her most recent video, wasn't it? Made for Now, just a one shot kind of dance, going from scene to scene.
So this is my favorite Janet song of all time.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Oh,
I apologize for those of you that are disappointed in
no,
me.
I love that this is your favorite song, and I can't wait to hear why.
I can't explain why this one over others, but the reason is in part what you guys have said. So I think the emotions of this song are how the emotions that describe the song about how it feels to feel like to fall in love. Nothing else seems to matter. Like, when I think of you, nothing else seems to matter. Like first of all, it's like the most, like, I don't think anyone's ever written a song that better describes what it's like to feel in love, like to feel like to fall in love, right? Like, when I think of you, nothing else seems to matter. Like, first of all, like, the best, I would say the best song ever written about what it's like to fall in love. But also, like, that's actually how I feel when I hear the song. When I hear the song, literally nothing else seems to matter. And it's literally joy personified. It was like, I don't know how they did it, but they literally wrote a song that is joy personified. And I hear this song, and it doesn't matter how I'm feeling. Nothing matters other than, like, it just has that effect on me. And I want to tell you guys a funny story. So I picked up my daughter today, and we were driving to the market because I had to get some food for dinner before the podcast. And she had never heard Control before. So I put on some tracks because I wanted her to hear it. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm doing this podcast, so I want you to hear this. And she's 6. And I was like, you have to hear Janet. She's an icon. She's very important. And I played her Control, Pleasure Principle, and When I Think of You. And I wasn't really sure how she was. I mean, I knew she was going to like them because I know her well enough to know that. But I didn't know how she was going to react. And during When I Think of You, out of nowhere in the middle of the song, she starts making weird noises. And I was like, what's going on, Rory? And she was like, I'm dancing and I can't control it. I can't control my body because I'm dancing too much.
Oh, so I love it.
It's like, so it still has that, like, has that impact on people, like, even on a 6-year-old, I just think it's like, it's just like this most, like, the most beautiful, effervescent, like this and Escapade, right? It's like the most beautiful, effervescent, like,
effortless,
right, thing that was ever put to music.
I think it's true. I think it's very easy to capture. It's easy to capture sadness within a song, and anger and angst. I think it's so hard to effectively capture joy in a song.
Jubilation.
Without it being cheesy. Like, this isn't cheesy. It's sincere.
It's
yeah.
It's good. And then the making of it, I'm sure you guys have seen the clips of her and Paula rehearsing this.
Yes, I posted that in the chat. I love it so much.
Yes, I love it. And then I go and watch the actual, replay, the actual one on set, and it's just so cool to see the before and after. It's so dope to me. And yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite songs. And again, it captures that almost like an innocence to it. And it's almost like a fun, summery, springtime innocence to it. I don't know how to explain it, but I guess it goes along the lines, like you said, the joy and the jubilation. So, but and it's also sexy, you know, that, ooh, you know, baby, you know, the panting and the breathing and all that, like it just all comes together. It's a beautiful package. I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like being a little vulnerable. I feel like I'm Demita Joe on the streets, but I'm When I Think of You in the Sheets. Like if there's ever anything I've really wanted in my life, is just that joyful, monogamous romance. Like I desperately wanted. Universe, hear me. This is what I want. This song, the feeling in the song is what I want in a partner.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna +1 you on that. I am When I Think of You in the Sheets as well. For real. Like that is like literally what I wanted. You know, like when I think of you, nothing else seems to matter. That very like joyful like connection with a person, you know.
Because I think, like, to me, what makes it all worth it are those moments of joy in life. And, you know, sometimes they're a lot of them, and sometimes they're few and far between, but it's always worth it. So, you know, so far in the album, Janet's given us power. She's given us sass. She's given us ourselves back. She's given us vulnerability. And here she gives us joy. Like, she gives us so much on this album. She's given us so much. We still have 3 songs.
Yeah, and now she's going to give us a useful tool to wait a while.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Any other thoughts on When I Think of You before we move on?
Her only number 1 song on the album overall.
But certainly not her last in her career, correct?
Oh no. No.
The one thing I will say is I think one of the reasons why this song was so successful was because it really did, from a musical standpoint, broaden the appeal in terms of like really hitting that pop, like that pop metric, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really did kind of like it foreshadowed some of the stuff that happened, like to the point I made earlier about Rhythm Nation. It's like Rhythm Nation really was, I think to some extent we don't give Rhythm Nation enough credit, and we can talk about that more when we talk about Rhythm Nation. Rhythm Nation went in a lot of interesting places.
Yeah.
You think about Escapade, you think about a record that had a song like Rhythm Nation and a song like Escapade and a song like Black Hat on the same record. That's fucking weird if you think about it. It's actually fucking weird. And that's like a fucking great record. So like it's kind of nice and interesting to think about. Like there was some foreshadowing on this record, which is like legitimately like one of the greatest R&B pop records ever made. Like, let's just call it now. Like, and there's like legit foreshadowing here to Rhythm Nation, which is also one of the greatest records ever written. So
I have a question for the panel. What other, like, who else can do joy the way Janet does?
Nobody.
Like, I think of other songs that are supposedly happy, like Walking on Sunshine. I hate that fucking song. Especially because Katrina called Madonna Flash of the Pan. I'm like, bitch, where are you now? I never forgave Katrina for that, so I hate Walking on Sunshine. Like, who else has done joy?
But I do like Madonna's Holiday. You know, Holiday is a very uplifting, joyous song. Into the Groove.
But I feel like that's joy about, like, I feel like those are not about love, though. Like, the joy.
They're more about like letting loose on the dance floor and just you're in
like having a day off from work.
B-52s can do joy.
What's that?
B-52s. Yeah, they're good too.
You know what song makes me cry by the B-52s? My favorite B-52 song is Deadbeat Club. I love that song so much. Okay, sorry to go off on a tangent, but that's in my top 5 of all time.
A 25-cent beer.
We need to do
box playing too loud.
We need to do Cosmic Thing for sure. Phonogenics.
Oh my god, that's such a great record. That's a fucking iconic record.
But you know what? The B-52s do joy. It also good call on that one. Okay, I hate to say it, but the next song is the one I would have skipped back in the day because
honey, it is the I Know It
It's
of the
honey,
song.
you know what? Both of them have the fucking saxophone solo. So when the saxophone shows up, oh girl,
Oh no, child, but like
he doesn't even know she's alive. Fuck him then.
I was like, how did it's not worth it? Like I was thinking, like today, I was like, damn, how does wait? How do you not? How do you not know Janet is not alive? And then I was like, well, maybe he's gay. But I go, no, because the gays would know she's alive. And I'm like, who is this trash of a man who doesn't even know she's alive? And then like, I honestly am not a fan of the song. I'm like,
I feel like
the-
Dream Street Knocked is like you're
exactly
taking one of my
like this
leftovers.
is like honestly like this was the misstep on the album. Like this did not like this prevents the album from like getting a 10 for me. She's a
I love
high-
this song.
she's
Oh,
a- I cannot. I'm like
I
no
like
man.
the song. It's not the favorite. Obviously, it's the least one liked. But like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the beginning, remember I said there's that track at the in the album that reminds me of her earlier stuff. It's like it's the only song that sounds like her first two albums. This is it.
Yep.
So it definitely does sound like the first two albums. So it definitely belonged on one of those two albums. But
yeah, it sure
I
does.
like it. It's not the favorite, but I don't hate it. It's not like I can still I don't have to skip it. Like I let it play. I like that beat, that Evelyn Champagne King type of beat, and actually it sounds like PYT, Michael Jackson's Pretty Young Thing.
Mm.
PYT, Pretty Young Thing.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da,
Where you're going. Yeah.
And it does have that vibe. Like
See, I didn't like PYT either, if you want to be honest. So
I love PYT, but but it has that vibe, and I like it. It's again not the favorite of the album, but I like it. I don't hate anything on this album at all.
well, I'm gonna go with David and say that this is definitely the I Know It of the album. Take your love and run from me. I have nothing else to say about the song. The saxophone, it starts and ends with the saxophone at the beginning for me.
There's something that I don't like vocally on this song.
She sounds like the old one, like when she was in
Yeah.
the first two albums.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not working for me. And honestly, I wish it wasn't on the album.
I do too.
I actually wanted to know, Jeremy or David, do you guys know if this was one of the first recorded tracks? Because could this be one of the first ones she recorded, like right when she was leaving those last two albums?
Oh, I don't know that.
I don't either, but
And that's
somebody
why
should have
it has
said
that sound. Okay.
somebody should have said, no, bitch, we're not in this frame of mind anymore.
We're
But,
nasty.
It really is outside the aesthetic of the album, though.
Correct, exactly. Like I can get away with the first non-album track. And even though that song is very reminiscent of her early stuff, it works and it's good. This is not good.
See, this was written by Spencer Bernard, so Janet didn't even write it. It's
Yeah.
produced by Jam Lewis, Janet, and then Spencer Bernard
And
did produce it.
Bernard. Yeah.
I'm like, why did no one tell them no?
Interesting.
Like I'm not saying it's the worst song ever, because Dream Street and that album exists, but it's a misstep for me. It's a misstep.
His wife was Lisa Keith, who he wrote songs for. She's part of the Flight Time family.
And I wonder if they're still together, if they're writing this type of song.
Well, there were things on Janet's first album that I liked more than this song, but there's things on some later albums that I like less than it. So that it kind of sits exactly in the Janet universe, the same as I Know It from Madonna's first album.
Mhm.
Exactly the same. There was worse and better. Well, moving on, we get back to the classics.
Mhm.
Okay, I made an album called 1987 in 2008. Jeff knows the album. And I put a ballad at the end of it.
Yes, I do.
I put a couple ballads at the end of it, and people were like, remember in 2008, like people just wanted to dance all the fucking time. You can't put a ballad on your album. I'm like, Janet ended Control with 2 fucking ballads. So can I. with 2
Yep.
ballads.
Yep.
Two amazing ballads.
Let's Wait a While is the next song we're going to discuss. So sweet. Oh, you know what?
Universal message.
If I ever meet the love of my life, he's gonna have to wait a month for this, dude. Like, I'm making him wait. Make that. I'm gonna control track 8 it and be like, let's wait a while, bitch.
And they'll be like blocked,
Oh,
ghosted. Like it doesn't work that way for us fags.
I know.
For women, this is a great message. It's a good message, especially at the time. This is late 80s. There is, STDs out there, and there's teen pregnancy, and there's all this stuff that is all over the news. And this was like, yo, and it also showed, hey, if a guy was really interested in you, they'll wait. They'll truly wait. And if they don't, then you know what? You're dodging a bullet.
You know what sells the song for me is Janet's vocals. There's such a sweetness, and the vulnerability is back. Like, amazing. Just an amazing vocal performance.
The only thing that makes this song work is Janet.
Of course.
Otherwise, this song would have fucking failed.
Yeah.
Because it would have come across as trite or like saccharine or trying too hard. Like, only Janet could have made this work because it was sincere coming from her.
I gotta go, but I want to say that it's my 3rd favorite song on the album, and just the keys that they use, the way it's done, that dum dum, the intro, her vocals. There's something I want to tell you, that all of that. It's just beautiful, beautiful message. Still makes my hair stand up. I play it sometimes when family and friends are over that haven't, don't listen to 80s shit regularly like we do. And I take them back, and they're like, oh my god, song. Like, yeah, so love that song. And the single cover is pretty too. She looks so pretty on that picture. And because I'm leaving, I will just say that I love the ending track, Sexy, and her speaking in French, and that it is a precursor to Anytime, Any Place.
Of course. That's where I was going with.
Yeah, but love this album, love the songs, and I'm just glad that we covered this. And I love it's an iconic album. It's my favorite Janet album overall as well. Some people are like, really? But I like this. I'm like, you can like whatever one you want, but to me, Control is my ultimate Janet go-to. And the little spin-off single with Herb Alpert, which is Diamonds.
Oh, I love Diamonds.
And that's another thing I was bringing up after this.
And Making Love in the Rain, right?
Diamonds. I love it. So,
So, Jeff, what do you give the album on a scale of 1 to 10? So
to me, it's a 10. It's 10? A solid 10. Solid 10. Not even, he doesn't even know that I'm Alive is going to detract from this. It's a 10.
Well, I hope you can make it for Rhythm Nation. Yes. I do have to change the date, but I'll talk about it afterwards with you guys. We'll figure it out.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Be safe.
Love you. See you next month.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So Let's Wait a While. A song about taking your time in the bedroom.
Exactly.
And some of
giving yourself as a woman self-worth.
But it didn't feel like slut shaming. It didn't feel like outdated or old-fashioned morals. Even this felt liberated to me and forward thinking.
Of course, because you know how many women are coerced into having sex. And here is somebody who is their age, a young woman, 19, 20 at the time, 21 at the time when the song came out. Saying, you know what? No. If they value you and they respect you, they will wait. And if they don't, then he wasn't worth it. And that is an important message that everybody needs to hear.
And another thing is, we saw throughout the album how strongly Janet could do dance tracks. This is the first ballad on the album, and it showed Janet can do ballads just as well as she can do a banger. And she exhibited that throughout. Think of all the great Janet ballads throughout her career. So this is the beginning. This is what it all goes back to. Oh.
It's an iconic classic song.
It is.
coming from her, it's really hard to do a song like this with the subject matter like this and have it not come across as cheesy or trite,
hokey,
saccharine or hokey. And like she manages to do it in a way that feels sincere and like to the point we were making earlier, like with a sense of agency about herself, of like coming at it from a sense of like self-worth and like, you know, wanting to, yes, the song is about like, hey, let's not, like, we're young and let's not have sex immediately, and it has that kind of like of the time, like, you know, let's avoid STDs by abstinence thing, which was a little bit weird, but it doesn't come across that way. It comes across as like, you know, a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more mature than that. And
also so many times I feel like innocence is so easily exploited, and like
yes.
like the vampires come out, and you know, like you think of Britney's early stuff, she was innocent but not really, like, you know, the claws were coming in. I feel like on this Janet song, she was sincerely innocent but still strong and still powerful. And how often do you get innocence and power like this?
Yeah. And it's just it feels like sincere, which is like it feels genuine and sincere. It's like it's a rare song that feels like mature, genuine, sincere, and also innocent. Like, that's crazy.
And forward thinking. Not like these aren't like outdated Christian values here. This is someone making an informed decision about their body because they're confident in themselves. Oh my God. Janet is underrated, man. Janet is because people don't talk about how innovative this stuff was. You know, once again, it's not Madonna versus Janet, but I feel like Madonna's the first one to toot her horn about I'm an artist to disturb the peace. Janet has never come out. I don't even know if Janet knows how innovative she was and is.
Yeah, I will layer onto that too. When I think about this song, there is an element to this song that is kind of sexy.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, it's a song about abstinence that is kind of sexy. It's innocent, but it's also kind of sexy. Like, that's a hard spin to pull off. You know?
I mean, isn't there something really sexy about getting to know somebody and getting to know their mind?
Yeah.
And wondering like how big is it? Like, you know, but there is like there's something to be said for that window of time when you're like waiting and the juices are flowing. Like, ooh.
Yeah. It's like, oh, let's get to know each other.
Well, what a concept that is. Now we're fucking swiping pictures on apps, judging everyone by a photo they posted.
As they should.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on Let's Wait a While?
Peaking at number 2 and another number 1 song on the R&B charts.
All right. This album ends with track 9. Like I said,
my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Your favorite song. Funny how time flies.
It is a classic.
When you're having fun. David,
when you're having fun.
This is your favorite, so you start this one off.
I just like it's the precursor, as fucking Jeffrey said earlier. It's the precursor to Janet, the album.
Oh, okay.
Like this is very anytime, any place, very frog without the house beat, very like, and like, to me, it's always been that bop for me. Like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's a song. It's in my top 5 of Janet songs. I live for it. It's just like, it's so smooth. It's I don't know. It's for me, it's very 90s R&B, but in 80s.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Like, it was very ahead of its time. Nobody was doing stuff like that. Like, Let's Wait a While was your typical R&B ballad that you would have out at that time. But this one was like, she was giving you, you know, spoken word in French. She was like, and then it's like, funny how time flies when we're you know, it was just like syllable, 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 syllable. And it's just I don't get, like, I had it on repeat for eight times today, and I know my boss was like, you better take that shit off already. I've had enough.
I do agree.
I was
Like, let's wait a while. I'd put in the same category as like your Atlantic Stars or like the Jets ballads. You know, better
Yes.
than better, but still in the same.
No, but still in, but they had, you know, it's always, it's you make it real. It's you got it. But yes, it was those typical, it was an R&B ballad of the time, but still unique enough that it's her. Like, but this one, no. This one, like I said, I'm a horny hoe, and it's a very low key sexual song
Yeah.
without being all up in there.
And
But
also the low keyness of it kind of like, just like you said, showed us what she would do later with That's the Way Love Goes, even. Just
it's
how
it's
subtle.
the whole Janet album. The whole Janet album,
Yeah.
this is the precursor. Like, if
Yeah.
she were to take this, if she were to pull a Britney and pull this song and put it onto another album.
If she would radar it.
Yeah, exactly. If she would radar it.
Oh, shit.
But if she were to add this to Janet, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Because it works so well. And I'm like, it's she was
7
getting
years
the bag
between
and
those.
she didn't know, and we didn't know that this was what was coming.
But I feel like she explored it here, and then like this was the great thing about Janet, is like when she was ready to explore her sexuality a little more openly, then she went there, you know. And then we got that record, and it's like she brought us along on that journey, but she teased it here, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, what a perfect way to show that you're in control. Like,
Yeah, that's what I love. And it's funny too that she said she ended the album on those two set pieces, one which was like the ultimate control, which is like, we're not going to have sex, and the other one was like, just kidding.
What was the song from Rhythm Nation?
We're not having sex, but we've waited a while, and let's go.
Yeah, but we went well, and now we'll bang. That's good. That's cool.
What was the ballad from Rhythm Nation that was kind of the sequel to Let's Wait a While? Like how something.
Come back to me.
Yeah, come back to
I'm
me.
begging you,
Please.
What was the song after that on the album though? Like Tonight's the How Soon's Tonight or something? Here, I'm gonna look right now. Okay, Rhythm Nation, the track list. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun talking about the Janet universe. When I think about the albums that are coming up, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Someday is Tonight. Someday is Tonight is what I'm thinking.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have done it. We've talked about one of the most iconic albums of all time. I'm going to start off this one, even though I think he doesn't even know I'm alive, is complete trash. The cultural and personal impact of this album has to put it at a 10 for me. Like, this album changed the world and changed my life. I wouldn't be who I am without Janet. I'm glad all those kids fucking made fun of me, because the more they did, the wilder and the bolder I got, thanks to Janet, thanks to Madonna. So this album literally changed my life, and it's still as good today as it was in 1986. So I give it a 10. All right. What do you two give this one?
I give this a 9.5 because I can't forgive that song.
Oh, shit.
But because the thing is, like, there are the other albums that are like literally a 10.
Okay. So there's more to come.
There's more to come, but this is like, she is in the right direction. This, after the 2 that she served with Dream Street, and that was me being nice. Because y'all tore it up like nobody's business. It's classic. It can still be listened to today. It still has its impact. It still resonates. Like, anybody, like, it's gonna resonate with us because we lived it. But any the millennials, the Gen Zers, they can pick this album up and be like, okay, she doesn't get the credit that she deserves, as a legend. And I would love for people to just go back and be like, this is why she was a legend. This is why she was big.
Yeah.
Like, we're starting here. We're starting a run of four, I want to say 5 consecutive albums that were fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I'll include All For You in that shit.
Yeah, I loved All For You. I mean,
So
there's some.
Oh yeah.
there's
Oh my
5 consecutive albums here, and there is another album before All For You that is going to be the creme de la creme for her. So like she just got, like, could you imagine? A lot of people pray that they can get this type of an album. They all want one type of, like, this. If you only serve the control in your career, it's good because a lot of people don't serve it.
Right.
This was just the beginning for her because the albums got better and better. And that's to say that you're giving her a 10, I'm giving her a 9.5. How does this shit go? How does it get better? But it does.
Yeah.
It really does. 9.5 because of that one song, because I'm a cunt. But I will not deny people saying it's a 10 because it deserves its flowers. It's a great album from start to finish. And like I said, yo, when you bought a Janet album, you knew you had at least 7 songs that were great. And in this album, you have 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Sharon, your rating of Janet Jackson, Control.
On a scale of Spanish lessons to
Oh!
10.
On a scale of he doesn't know him alive to 10.
On a scale bad. So this is a 10. I rarely give a 10 to a record. This
No,
record.
you don't. You don't give a 10.
No, this record's a 10. I think, as I said in the beginning, I rarely get to talk about a masterpiece. This record is a masterpiece. And this is one of those records. It's fun for me to talk about this record because, like, there's a lot of records where I get to talk about moments in my life where, as a goth, I had to, like, question, like, whether or not it was cool for me to love a record, because, like, this was one of those where it was like, even as a goth, I was like, I can't disown this record because this was, like, one of the most formative and important records of my life. Like, and it's like this record, like, it had such a profound impact on me.
Yeah.
And it has never left me. And I go back to it time and time again. I probably listen to it, at least on a yearly basis, if not more. As evidenced by the fact that I kept holding up. Yeah, exactly. As I kept holding up records, because it's like, it has that power to me. And, like, it's one of those records that when I go back to it, on a regular basis, as I do, I get something more and different from it every time. And as I get older, and it's exciting to me for the fact that as I get older, I learn more, I find new things from it as I mature. And I feel like that's like a really profound gift that you get from something that's, like, from, like, a really great, from, like, a true actual piece of art. So I think it was one of the greatest pieces of art, of pop art ever written. And I cannot wait to talk about Rhythm Nation, which I also has a very special place in my heart. I cannot wait to talk about the records that follow. I think that this is, to your point, the beginning of an incredible run in her career. And I also just want to say again, I personally want to do right by her, because I feel like so many people didn't do right by her. And I'm so glad that there were communities such as the gay community that were there for her at a time when so many people turned their backs on her. And I'm glad that there has been a referendum, in the recent years on that. But I just want to say explicitly that she deserved a lot more.
Yeah.
She is a legend. She is an icon of music, and I just think that she got such a fucking shitty you know, turn on that whole thing. And she deserves a lot more than she got. So that's all I got to say.
I know we'll say this later, but fuck Justin Timberlake. Yeah, this album was definitely a game changer, a life changer, and I think none of us were ever the same. None of us were ever the same after we heard this album.
It changed my life. This record objectively changed my life.
Like a Virgin changed my life in 84, this album changed my life in 86.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's still chat for a second after I pause. But thank you to my Patreon subscribers, thanks to the YouTube subscribers, and thank you to my friends for embarking on this Janet journey. Even myself, sometimes I don't put Janet in the light as much as I do other artists, and she needs to be, she needs to be. All right, we will see you next month with Rhythm Nation.